always record because the good stuff usually happens. Okay, are we
Okay,
recording
we're
now?
recording.
I hit the record button.
Let me tell you a quick, short story. Or knows that many years ago, decades ago, I was in the music business. I owned recording studios. We used to, and when the singers were in there getting ready to do their part, I would tell them, I'd say, we're just going to do some practice now. So just have some fun and sing because I want to be able to get some, get your levels and stuff.
When they're relaxed, yeah.
Right. And then I would press the record button. And then later on, I'd play back all the takes. And guess the one they always wanted to keep was the one that when they didn't know the record button was on.
The problem is Zoom doesn't allow you to do that. It says we are recording now. You can't secretly.
I can see that.
It warns people.
You can't hide it.
So,
but anyway, we can do this. And then, if you guys don't have the ingredients, you can do it another time.
Yeah, that's part of it is we record it. I actually had a hard time finding, I used up all my red wine. And so I didn't even have red wine, let alone marsala. And I had to go to 3 liquor stores in my town today to find marsala.
Yeah.
And I went to
the
one I finally went to.
You want to get dry marsala, not
I was like, what?
Sweet.
So, but
I think I broke up, but I'm not sure if you heard me. You want to get dry marsala, not sweet.
Yeah. And so, I mean, I have done the same recipe with just red wine, but it's so much better with marsala. It's like
I said, it's not marsala without marsala.
Hence the name.
Chicken marsala without marsala wine.
Yeah, it's not called red wine marsala.
No.
So,
you want to get started?
And then when I went shopping, I had the option of buying just, chicken fillets or the very thin sliced fillets already, but I thought I would buy the ones not filleted so we can show how it's filleted. But I did buy the mushrooms already cut up, thinly sliced, and that saves a lot of time.
That's fine.
So,
and we need onion. So we got it. So you want to start?
It's like, all right. Yeah, Deepa.
You want to get started?
Yeah, Deepa's in charge of spotlighting the camera. I think I can spotlight mine. All right. So, boss me around.
You want to start?
Yeah.
All right. So first, let's chop up an onion, nice and thin and small, little chunks.
All right.
Really dice it up real nice. And you can use, depending on how much chicken you're going to use, a half an onion or a whole onion. I tend to use a little bit less onion, but someone who likes a lot of onion, you can put a lot. It's not an onion dish, but you do want the onions, very important.
And do you put much garlic in it?
No garlic.
Oh, okay.
No garlic goes in marsala. I know that sounds strange for an Italian
Can
dish,
you guys hear anything? Because I don't hear anything.
We can hear. I can hear.
Can
you hear me too?
Yep, I can hear.
I don't know.
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
we can hear you. So you need to turn up your microphone.
All right.
Volume on your microphone, I think. So
I've got my onions minced. I guess I can put my garlic away. I brought out 2 cloves of garlic because I was like, you can't be Italian without garlic.
If we have anybody from Italy on this right now, the minute you said you were going to make it with red wine, they probably logged off.
So, all right, I got my onions.
Let's make it. Yeah, we could try beer. We'll make it with beer.
We'll call it schnitzel with beer. We'll call it schnitzel.
Yeah. All right, those are diced up real nice and real fine. They got to be really fine because you almost want them you really want them to emulsify. You don't want chunks of onion. That's not what this is meant for.
right.
And you can use a food processor, you know, I don't, but you could use a food processor if you want to really dice them up.
It's
Yeah, I
a
mean,
sauce.
right-
It's a
right-
sauce you're creating.
That's probably
Right
too
now,
much.
they're about, I don't know, 16-inch squares, but
Yeah, no, they gotta be smaller than
Fine.
that. And we're gonna probably use half of that. Half of that
Okay.
onion. I'd say about half.
so
All
yeah,
right, so
it's
get that pan, heat that pan up.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we can hear you.
only
so
when
get-
you say, "Can you hear me?" Otherwise, if you were talking, we can't.
Get that pan nice and hot. Is that pan heating up right now?
Yep,
Okay,
but I don't have anything else in it. It's just
all right. Get it nice and hot and put some olive oil, coat the whole bottom with olive oil. You could use, I mean, if you really want to get fancy, when you sear the chicken, you can use grapeseed oil, which gets a lot hotter and doesn't burn. It's got a higher smoke point. That's what you really want to use to sear things. I use grapeseed oil and then I change over to olive oil when I'm gonna actually cook everything together, but we don't
okay.
have to, it doesn't have to be that complex right now. So,
I guess I
and
need to
really,
see.
you know, I mean, you really should prep all this first because otherwise the timing of it, you know, you
Right.
really need to, so, but we'll do, seeing as you don't have the chicken prepped yet, what we can do is we can make the onions and the mushrooms and then put them aside, and then we'll come back to the chicken.
Oh, okay.
All right,
Because the
so,
mushrooms I have are already thinly sliced, so I don't even have to cut
all
them.
right, get those out. And let's get the onions cooking,
Well, other
Got-
people,
the olive oil.
Yeah, might I recommend to check where everybody is in the process? Maybe some people did not buy already some mushrooms, so that's.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would like to know what I missed because for some reason I still can't see anything, but I can hear you guys now at least.
Well, all I'm showing is the spotlight of my cooking. Can you see that?
No,
Well,
I can't see anything. I just see black boxes and
Weird. You have a bad
don't-
connection of some sort.
video. I almost think I should leave and come back.
I think so. Yeah.
So I'm gonna
Probably-
try that. I don't know if there's been any cooking in the couple minutes that I've been gone.
Oh, so far we've
so,
just minced the
No.
onions.
Oh,
Sauteing onions right now.
Some that hour.
and
Certainly.
or
All right, so, or,
let me recommend that you
Chicken marsala, some chef.
or if you could point your camera down just a little bit, it's all of your blender or your.
Yeah, we're not seeing the pan, full
and
pan
back
yet.
it up a little bit, yeah,
There,
back it up. a
there,
little bit.
perfect.
That's a little
That's
better.
better. That's better.
So I'm just thinly slicing the chicken.
Looks like
Like I could buy it already thinly sliced, but it was like $3 a pound more.
Yeah,
So I thought, hey, I probably need to practice. I'm
the
thinly
best thing to do
slicing
is,
it.
the best thing to do is to buy a whole chicken and slice off the breast. That's the,
I actually
get
did that last week. And you're right, it was the same cost for a whole chicken as it was to buy chicken breast per pound. Or I mean, you know. So this last bit, I'm having a hard time thinly slicing. The last bit came out kind of rough.
Why didn't he prep it?
So I don't like prepping it because then we can see my mistakes, right?
yeah, well, you can do, you know, just do it to order, like maybe, you know, for 1 or 2 people right now. So you don't, that's the other thing too. You want to make this to order and not make a huge amount. You know, you want to make it so maybe you're doing 4 or 6, you know, breast slices. You make it for 2 people. You know, if
Okay.
you were at a restaurant, they would make it to order, 1 order at a time. And you have a lot more control over the dish. And when you start scaling things up, that's why when you go to like a banquet or something, the food's never as good as in a restaurant, fine restaurant, because they're making one order at a time.
Right.
You know, I'll have to get Chef Rocky on here. My friend who was he's the world chili competition champion. He's the world barbecue champion. He's
Wow.
one of the best chefs I know on the face of the planet. I mean, this
Wow.
guy is so
Chili
unbelievable.
man.
His food is so amazing. I got to get him. He'll come on here and do this with you. He'd love to.
Great. That would be fun.
Yep.
All right, so should I
learned a
start
lot from him.
cooking the, what do you call it? The mushrooms and onions you said?
Yeah, but I'm confused. You said that pan is getting hot and it's been sitting there for like 10 minutes.
I can
Yeah.
see the
Well,
oil
it
bubbling.
started smoking, so I shut it off.
Okay, well, you got to get it hot again.
Yep,
Oh.
so.
I ask about the oil you mentioned. What are we putting the onions in?
The onions are going to get fried in olive oil.
Okay, because I do
along
have
with
grape
mushrooms.
oil. I think you'd mentioned.
You're going to fry
Grapeseed
the
oil?
Well, you can do grapeseed oil. You can fry out. That's later. Right now, we're going to do this. We're kind of doing this backwards because he didn't prep anything. So we're going to just do the onions and the mushrooms first.
All
We're
right,
going to put them aside. Right. So let's put some onions in there. Just half of that amount of onions, not all of them. Yeah, that's pretty good. That might be a little too.
and you think
so
a whole container of mushrooms?
well, let's see.
half?
So those onions, that oil does not look that hot though. You need to get that oil a lot hotter. I
How much
can't
olive oil?
can't even hear it.
Yeah.
Really, you want it
It's-
to be
It
really
looks
hot.
like it's sizzling. You just can't hear it on the mic probably.
Yeah, that needs to be much hotter.
I don't know why you can't hear it on the mic. I got an extra mic up here.
I can just tell looking at it, it's not that hot.
Okay,
And you're gonna need more oil
all right.
because those mushrooms are gonna suck that oil up. There'll be no oil at all in your pan. But you gotta get that pan a lot hotter. Get yourself like a Cephalon pan. A non-stick Cephalon pan.
All right,
That's better.
put all this chicken in.
You
So
could put a little, so you could put a little black pepper in the onions.
you
maybe
do
just a-
butcher style pepper or the very fine pepper?
Um,
Does it matter?
I use a pepper grinder myself, but whatever you want, just a little bit. Fine pepper would be good. Just a little bit of pepper. And then if you want to make the onions caramelize nice, you could actually use like a beef bouillon. That's kind of a trick. I use something that you won't be able to get. It comes from Asia, but use a little bit of beef bouillon powder, just a little tiny bit, and you put it on the onions and it caramelizes and the onions amazingly.
Cool.
I don't know if you
Oh.
even have that, but that's just a little trick to caramelize the onions real nice.
My
And
favorite is
also
this right
caramelize the
here,
mushroom.
unami powder.
Is it beef?
No, it's shiitake mushroom.
No, it needs to be like a beef and have salty stuff in it. And
So can you see the onions now? I mean, they're going good.
they're going pretty good. You could put the mushrooms in.
You think this whole thing or just half of it?
I would, and one of the reasons why I would never buy already sliced mushrooms is because those are like 4 times too thick. Just to
Yeah.
let you know. Yep, they're super thick, but that's okay. We'll just use them for now.
So when you slice it almost paper thin?
Paper thin, yeah, as thin as possible. You want the onions to be absolutely almost emulsified, and you want the mushrooms to be like really, really nice and razor thin.
Yeah, it's a sauce. It's a sauce you're creating.
Yeah, well, it's a kind of a mushroom onion mirepoix, if you will.
Yeah.
All right, black pepper it. Just a little bit on the chicken.
No, not on the chicken. A little bit in the mushrooms. You already put that? Just a little tiny bit, no, not too much. That's good. That's good. Yeah, the only problem is that pan, when I say it's not even close to hot enough, I mean, it's nowhere near it. Like, I don't think you're even gonna be able to caramelize those onions. By
'Cause, I
looking
mean,
at
that's
that.
the flames all the way on.
Yeah, I don't know, man. You got some low BTUs there. You know what you can do? They make portable did you ever go to a restaurant and they cook tableside?
Oh yeah,
And they have
I've been
they have a
wanting
little
to get one of those.
those little portable one burner are butane, and believe it or not, they're pretty high. They're pretty high BTUs, and it goes by a little propane tank. If they're cheap, you should buy one just for the show. You could use that
What do
to
you-
cook.
What do
They're
you
really
think
nice.
about portable induction?
Induction?
Yeah, Mark,
As in-
induction burners, they're popular.
As in like infrared?
No, it's, you set your pan on and it creates the heat by, I don't know what the word for it. It
You mean
induces
Yeah, no flame.
no flame,
No
but it's,
flame,
in-
right.
No,
but
you
it's,
want
ins-
flame.
but
You
it's
want flame.
instantly hot or instantly, I
Yeah.
mean, the advantage is you can turn it off or on.
I would
and
say,
it's-
I would say that there's virtually not a good chef on the face of the planet that uses that. You know, I
okay.
mean, there's a reason why every chef on earth uses gas. Not even propane. Even propane isn't as good as gas.
Mm.
But, if that's all you have, I mean, growing up, well, I had an electric stove with a little crappy burner, and my mother cooked amazing. So, you can use what
But
you
while
have.
these mushrooms are going, go ahead and bread the chicken.
No, there's no breading.
Or,
You're gonna,
I mean, like,
Flour.
you're gonna flour it. Yes, you're gonna flour the chicken. So, but you want to do that after, because if you do it now and you let them sit, the flour is
they'll
gonna
get all
little
goop
soggy.
gummy, yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be no good. But so we got to get these now. This should put with the
Um,
fire. What's that?
Ask a question about the chicken.
Sure.
Okay, so I understand I need to cut my chicken in half. Should I use a knife? I'm trying to see if I can show you the.
You want to
knife.
make the chicken as thin as possible, and if you're not good at filleting, maybe buy them pre-filleted.
I'm trying to find where my camera is.
The nice thing, if you go to a butcher, you go to a place that has a butcher, you tell them, I want them, super thin, and they
So
cut
should
them real nice.
knife?
For you.
Or this knife,
I don't have
a chef type knife, or one that it looks like this.
Yeah, but, Orr's got the knife that came from the movie Psycho, I think.
Yeah, I don't.
Or one of those movies. Some
But
Alfred Hitchcock
get
movie
this
that
knife?
came from.
My choice of
Lizzie
knife.
Borden. Lizzie Borden.
Yeah, you just need a regular, kind of a butcher type knife, curved, not a chef's knife.
There's a specific fillet knife. If you really want to fillet
Yeah.
nicely, they make
Okay.
there's a
Yeah.
fillet.
Would
It's
use
a
it.
real skinny knife.
But,
It's
but
like
most of us
Not
don't have one, probably.
No, yeah, most people don't have a fillet knife. I would get them cut by the butcher and tell them to cut them nice and paper thin.
Yeah, I was like, I could buy
This is
it.
a first-off knife. I just didn't know which one.
Again, you're gonna have a tough time cooking those chickens in that pan. Let me tell you, it's gonna be a long time with that heat.
Well, they're thin.
Well, they're all
That'll
brown.
help.
The onion's all browned already.
Yep, stir it up. Keep turning it over.
It's pretty golden brown in there.
That's good. You want it to almost look burnt, because that's all that you want, that caramelization. That's what creates the flavor. And then you're gonna deglaze all that later on, and you're gonna put wine, and it's not gonna look like that at all. And
So I actually cut
that's
these.
what's gonna give you color, huh?
I cut these chicken breasts with this actually. I like thin cut it.
I think you did a nice job with using a big cleaver. I couldn't do that.
And then you can see I banged it and got it. It's pretty thin.
Well, that's a good idea. That's the other thing. If you cut them a little thick, then get a mallet, and if you can bang them out, you can make them nice and thin. That'll make them even nicer to bang them out.
Yeah.
Again, that would be the process you want to do before you cook. You want to prep all this. You want to cut your mushrooms, cut your onions, slice your chicken, get your flour ready, lay everything out. Then you cook. We're doing it in a way where this is not really efficient.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But-
Or he's got a day job.
Well, we'll get it done. We'll get it done.
So you should have to start with exactly what you said to do. That's why we're here.
We'll get it done nice. It's gonna taste good.
I actually have some stuff we could make a salad too. I got a cucumber and some sweet peppers and spinach.
Nice.
But
Awesome.
yeah, this works pretty good. You just like hit it and you can flatten it. I was like, I don't have a mallet, but
Yeah.
Yeah, you can put it between wax paper and hit it with a mallet or something heavy.
I mean, it comes out pretty thin doing that. So All right.
Your mom.
So we can take those mushrooms and onions now and put them aside into some type of bowl or some dish and just take that out of the pan and put them aside.
All right.
Here's
Nice and
why I
golden
need
brown.
tenderizer. This is why I used to flatten the chicken.
Get all the oil, get everything out of that pan.
Oh, okay.
Get it, yeah, get it nice and clean. We're gonna basically start over with that pan, not completely, but
Yeah, the deglazing's after the chicken's been in there.
yeah, everything's gonna go in.
Mark, thank you for coming here, even though you're calling in from your
Really,
bed.
from the sick bed, that's above and beyond the call of duty.
I know, I know.
So
All right, so now,
we need a bunch of oil in there again.
yep, you gotta put more oil in that pan and get it
This time I'm
really,
taking the 5-gallon oil out.
I'm still cooking my mushrooms.
look at this. And you gotta get it,
I'm still cooking my mushrooms. Can I ask if we're just using 2 chicken breasts only?
However many you want to cook. I just have 2 chicken breasts, but I thinly sliced them and I ended up with like 12 pieces. See?
no, I wouldn't put any more than 4, maybe, because you don't, again, you want, I don't think you're gonna be able to fry them very good in that pan, but you gotta get that oil, it's gotta get where it's getting to just starting to smoke.
All right. Still got a little bit of onions in it.
That's, yeah. Now you put it, maybe a little too much oil.
I did, yeah. It's hard that when the 5-gallon container, it's really hard to get small amounts of oil out of that.
So
But,
get that oil to just, if it just starts to maybe smoke.
all right, it's working on it.
Yeah.
So, but I should.
So now you gotta flour those.
So what I was gonna do it is in a bag, put like flour and maybe a little bit of spices or.
No spices, no, just flour, just salt each of them, pretty good, because we haven't used any salt yet. So we're gonna salt them. This is the way you don't over salt the dish is you don't put the salt in the whole pan. You salt the items. So if you just salt each chicken breast, so you'll get the right amount because you'll just cover the chicken breast. If you just try to like guess and start throwing salt in there, you ruin the whole dish maybe. So just salt each chicken breast. All right, and then you're gonna do the shake and bake technique.
Yeah.
Everybody knows shake and bake, right?
Yeah,
And yeah, the idea there is then
So
only salt them.
take maybe 3 or 4 of them. I wouldn't do more than 4. You get the thinnest ones, the thinnest, smallest ones, salt them, and then flour them.
All right. Yeah, I do think my gas here is pretty slow because it's like I have a really hard time making fries. Like I tried the other day to deep fry some fries and it took like way too long. And I think the gas in this stove is.
Oh yeah. All
it's
right,
that,
so
or you may need to clean out the holes in the burner.
you're
Sometimes they
not gonna
get.
be able to cook all those doors, so don't do so many. You're
Yeah.
not gonna-
Can we, I am sorry, but when there's instruction happening and we're not where you are, it
Okay.
ends up less efficient because then we don't know what was that, how much flour,
Right now, I mean, you're just basically putting some flour in the bag.
You
And
don't,
I
yeah.
salted the chicken, and then I'm gonna shake it in the bag.
Yeah, you
So there
don't have
really
to
is-
measure the flour. I mean, you
Okay, great.
probably need more flour than that though, but you don't really have to measure it. You're just covering them. You're just dusting them with flour.
Yeah, so really, the least amount of flour you can get on the chicken, probably the better.
No, no. You can't over flour a dry
Only so
chicken.
much is gonna stick.
Yes, you can't, you're not gonna over flour it. So either if you just put it in a plate and you just dip them in them, or you put them in the bag and you shake it, however you want to do it, it's fine. I would, yeah,
Do you ever dip them in egg and then in the flour?
that's a whole different dish. That's a franchise.
Okay.
So you can, yeah, of course, yeah, absolutely. You can egg batter them. flour them and egg batter them, and then you have a chicken francaise dish.
Let's see. I think that oil still needs to heat up a little better.
Oh yeah, it's not even close.
It's starting to smoke a little bit.
All right, well, if it's smoking, you're gonna have to use it because you don't want to burn it.
All
So
right, let me try one.
if you're smoking, put it in.
Oh yeah, that's boiling.
That's not too bad. All right, so put them in. Let's get, maybe 4 little ones or 3 big ones. Yeah. The more you put in, the more you're gonna cool the oil down. So don't put too much. That's good. Let's just cook that. Just make 1 dish. All right, so now these you don't want to cook to death. You're just the right way to do this would be maybe in a grapeseed oil, or if you're even olive oil is fine, but in a really hot pan. So you're just singeing them for maybe, a minute aside, 2 minutes aside. If you have a thick ones, maybe a couple minutes, but if they're thin, it might only take a minute. Like if this was veal,
Man, can you hear that frying now?
I can hear it. I can hear it.
Yeah, it's gonna cook fast because they're
Oh,
thin.
yeah.
And you're going to cook them some more after when we put everything together. So that's why they're going to actually cook some more. So yeah, and you're going to flip. Yeah. Yep. Let's just get them so they're.
I think I flipped them over a little too early.
If this was veal, you wouldn't want to cook them any more than 30 to 60 seconds. You want it super, super hot using grapeseed oil. And then you would flip them very quickly, because otherwise veal could get tough. But chicken, you could beat it up a bit. So this, I would, when this is all said and done, maybe pour out half that oil, because that's too much oil in the pan right now.
Yeah.
And you said we have sherry and marsala, right? Or
What's that?
you have sherry and marsala?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
This
All right, you
chicken,
could
I
take
guess,
that,
really wet. Look how
you
much.
could take that chicken out too.
Oh, oh.
All right, because we're gonna cook it some more.
Yeah.
We're not finished with that yet.
Did I do another batch? I still have another chicken in the
No.
flour.
No, let's just do the one order to order.
Okay.
All right, so now we're gonna put the mushrooms and the onions back in.
Oh yeah, they're definitely hotter this time.
Okay, good. Spread them around. Let's just saute them for just a little bit. Get nice and hot.
All right.
All right. All right. So now we're gonna lay the chicken on top and just kind of work it in. Work the chicken into the mushrooms. So the mushrooms. Yep.
Mark, if I have used 2 chicken breasts that I have sliced in half, do I want to make more pieces, or is the 4 pieces good?
Whatever you want to make. If you want to make it to order for your just 1 order, 2 orders, you make whatever you want, but you just have to make the right amount of mushrooms that you
Yeah,
want.
what fits in the pan?
Yeah.
So I
you
mean,
really
basically,
yeah.
you make the mushrooms like really thin. You make the chicken really thin. You can whip it up real quick to
Oh,
order,
yeah.
basically.
I do this whole thing in 15 minutes. I'm from start to finish. I'm done in 15 minutes.
I can
All right,
Prep
so
everything
now
ahead.
let's get some sherry. And you want to be very careful with the sherry. You're just putting in like maybe a 1/4 cup, half a cup. Actually, I have that exact sherry. That's funny. You bought the same one I have. Yep, I got the same exact one. All right, so put a little sherry in there, and this is where I would actually. Then I would.
Should I
you ever see the
actually
chef
measure it?
I wouldn't. I don't measure, but if you want to measure, go right ahead. I would just put just a little bit. That's good. And now if you pull the pan back and you splash it, you'll actually flambe it. Can you flame it and burn it off? You gotta do it quick though.
Oh, wow.
That's not quick.
I wasn't ready. Could I do it again or?
Okay, you could do it with that.
Oh,
Yeah,
see,
go ahead. No, you don't want to put more sherry. No more sherry. You'll ruin the dish.
Should
No,
I drink
no.
some? No.
Okay, so now add the marsala wine. And this you're gonna put quite a bit,
So like a cup.
at least, let me see. And you want this to be dry marsala wine, not sweet. That's about good. Okay,
That's about a fifth of the bottle. Yeah.
yeah, that's good. That's good. All right. All right, so now swish it around, pull the pan and,
Oh man, that smells so good.
all right, so now you gotta cook off the alcohol, of course.
Yep.
And if there's not enough flour in the pan from the residue from the chicken, um, you could add a little bit of flour and sift it in, but you gotta stir it in real fast, or else it'll lump up. But that'll thicken it up a bit. So maybe put just a little bit of flour in there, and just sift it in yeah. And then real quick with a spoon, you want to whisk it. You got to put more than that though. And you're gonna whisk it in.
Yeah, I'm not
Yep.
putting in enough.
That's good. That's good. So make sure make sure it doesn't get clumpy. Whisk it in. Yep. All right, you gotta get some butter. Butter time.
All right, butter.
Yeah, about maybe with this much you can put in maybe a half of that stick, maybe a third of that stick, about a third of that stick. It won't
Okay,
go
just like
crazy.
a couple teaspoons. Yeah.
Yeah. Put that in there. Okay, that's good. Yep. You could use a little tiny bit of cream too, but this is fine. So
So can
and
you
now
use
maybe
cream? They tried
now-
to sell me cream sherry.
right, you could use that. So you can put a little bit. You can salt it to taste now. If you want to taste it. So whisk in the butter now. All right, move that butter around, and now lower the heat. You want to bring the heat down. When you put the butter in, now you want to bring the heat down. You don't want to burn butter. The oil, the onions, the mushrooms, those you want to singe and you want to get them caramelized, but the butter, you don't want to burn the butter.
All right.
And
I've
I've got
gotten
my chicken in the pan that I've turned over. So now I'm just adding the mushrooms and onions back in. Is that right? Before adding the sherry?
Yep.
Okay.
Now I put it
So-
at about quarter heat, so it's still low simmering.
Yeah, you want to simmer it. And the thing is, you don't want to get it where it's dry. You want to make sure you have a broth there, that you have a sauce.
Yep.
So now taste it and see if it's good for your salt. And salt it. If you have to salt it a little bit, you might have to. I'm not sure.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Yeah.
It's like
All right. It's
Really-
getting there.
really has a lot of depth to it.
Yeah. With the sherry, it should give it like a gourmet flavor. Really should. The sherry really steps it up a notch.
I mean, it tastes like mushrooms, but it's like it has this bright kick afterwards, and I guess that's the sherry.
Yeah. Okay, so now you're pretty much done here. I mean, this is oh, I'm sorry. You have rosemary. I forgot. We need a little rosemary.
Oh yeah, where did I put it?
That's one of the most
There
important
it is.
things. Yep. So let's
I
get
just-
some.
I don't have
Those
any fresh.
rosemary.
But you did. It's really strong, so you just put like a pinch, right?
Well, let me see what you call a pinch.
Well, my big ass.
Just cover each chicken breast with a little bit.
All
Just
right.
yeah, that's it. Just like you're spicing up each chicken breast. That's the way you don't overdo something. Is you put it on the items themselves as if you were seasoning them, as opposed to just tossing it in there. That's why you salt each chicken breast. Then you didn't go crazy and salt the whole pan.
Yeah,
All right.
'cause
So now, all right.
rosemary,
So now,
you can easily put too much.
Oh,
And
yeah,
may
you
I ask
yeah.
on the sherry, you said it was about a quarter cup and about a cup of wine?
yeah.
Okay.
All right. So stir that up. So get that rosemary. You want that rosemary infused in the oil. We should have put the rosemary in a little earlier, but that's okay. It'll be fine. It's dried rosemary. It's going to be delicious.
Yeah.
I don't know
You
how
think
thick
you put like twice as much when it's dried than you do fresh?
Yeah, probably. Fresh is going to
I
be
guess it
stronger.
matters how old it is, really. I mean,
Yeah, if you used fresh, you'd probably use like a sprig, and you wouldn't actually have it, in the dish. But all right, so this is pretty much done. So you can plate it now. Take out the breasts, lay them on your plate, whether it's two or you're doing the whole four, and then, right, and then pour your mushrooms and everything over it.
Now, could I just cook more chicken in the same stuff, or you do everything from scratch?
No, what do you mean? We're done.
Well, if I wanted to make another batch, like right
Yeah,
now,
just-
put some more chicken
So,
in.
I don't. You'd have to do everything all over again. So just pour the whole thing. You don't spoon it out. Pour the whole thing all over. You're not taking out all the beautiful sauce there. Just pour the
Alright.
whole thing. Yep. Until the plate's covered. And now you cut up a little parsley and put a little parsley on top. And that's it.
Ta-da. Now, do you serve it with rice or pasta? Or you just like this?
No, you could put it over pasta if you want to put it over pasta. Sure, you could have made a pasta dish and then you could have put it over the pasta.
I definitely did too much oil.
Yes, you killed it with the oil, but that's
Yep.
okay. That's fine.
Oh man, that whipped it up.
Good
Hey,
job.
that's your
All right, I'm gonna make another batch real quick.
that's your chicken masala. Why don't you don't want to eat this first and taste it?
Oh yeah, well, I was just gonna start the onions and mushrooms on another batch, and then I'll
So while he's regrouping, that'll give me a chance to make sure I'm doing the right things. So I have the mushrooms and the onions and the chicken with the sherry, rosemary, and marsala in the pan. But I think there was also some added flour and butter that I didn't quite catch what was going on there.
Hey, or why don't you taste this, see what you think, and then I'm gonna go, and then you guys do it on your own.
All right.
And then
Thank you so much, Mark.
And then you can see if the next one, if it came close to that, or maybe you improved it and made it more to your liking.
It's like, well, I guess I don't know if it's appetizing to see me eating it, but
Making me hungry.
I'm not even gonna cut it. I'm just gonna.
I'm going into what's that?
All right. Oh man, I really like the idea of thinly slicing it, whipping it up real quick.
Yeah.
So prep everything ahead of time. You can make a batch of this, a plate for each person, real quick. All right.
All right.
How
Thank
do
you
you?
very much, Mark.
Yeah, thank you very much.
No
So, or
problem.
how
I'm
much
actually go-
butter and flour?
My
Thank you.
mother-in-law is actually in the kitchen right now making me Albanian chicken.
All right.
That's
But
nasty, right?
she's Russian. She's Russian, but she's making Albanian chicken. I'm sorry, you had a question?
Just like-
Yeah,
No.
asking about the butter and the flour because that's where I am, and I'm just trying to figure out how much butter and flour I needed.
So we put,
Well, it really depends on how much you put in the pan, Yeah, but we used about 2 tablespoons of butter?
yep, 2 tablespoons of butter, and then you just add flour as needed to thicken it.
Exactly. Yep. You're just adding it to thicken it. The best way is to sift it in with a sifter if you don't want it to lump up. But if you put it in
So
quick,
I
and
mean,
you
I like sifted it into my hand like this, and then did it again with my other hand.
right.
But I didn't put very much though. I mean, if I was putting, I probably needed to put twice as much flour as I did.
Yeah, if you wanted to thicken it up a bit. Plus, it lightens it up. I can tell because it's a little too dark, so you probably didn't put enough flour.
Yeah.
But that by the color is how you can tell. But all right, so that's good. I hope that you
The
guys.
recipe online, it included chicken broth. Should we have included that, or was that an alternative to the wine?
You can put some chicken broth. Chicken broth is really nice. I mean, I like to. I would add. Sometimes I'll make it. I'll put a little chicken broth in there. Add it with the wine. So you add the wine and maybe put in, half a cup or a quarter cup of chicken broth, just a small amount for the flavor. You could do that.
But yeah, I mean, the least amount of liquid as possible because you're trying to thicken it up.
No. You would put the chicken broth in when you put the wine in. The
Yeah.
sherry would go in, flambe the sherry, burn it off, puts the wine in, and then put at the same time as the wine, you put in a little bit of chicken broth.
And so I like using chicken broth when I'm serving it over rice, because then you might want a little bit of extra liquid to soak into the rice
Right. Yeah. Well, it's gonna make the whole
or
sauce.
pasta.
Yeah.
But
All right. You guys
Thank-
enjoy, and I hope it's been helpful.
thank you very much.
Okay, Mark, good luck. We hope you get well soon.
I appreciate. Thank you.
This
Thank you
looks-
very much.
Oh, feel better.
Thank you.
Happy cooking. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, so I'm making another batch. What do you call it? I'm sauteing the mushrooms and the onions. I guess I'm still doing it the wrong order. The order really is you want to fry the chicken, then add the mushrooms and onions to it. It's much better that way. So let's do it in the right order, right?
Well, no, you're doing it right. You saute the mushroom, onions, and then set them aside. Then fry the chicken in the pan.
You know. But you can also instead of doing, you could fry the chicken in the pan, take the chicken out, then put the mushrooms and onions in it, and then put the chicken back on. So it's one less step. So,
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you just can't put the chicken in too soon or it'll overcook.
right.
This is, I guess I could show you.
Yeah, you guys want to see mine too?
All right, Deepa, can you spotlight them? I don't know.
Sure.
I don't know. Let me see.
Okay, who we're looking at? Lulu? We're looking at Lulu?
No, Christie's first. She's showing hers.
Christy, oh, we can pin
Let's-
her or spotlight her.
All right.
Oops, I thought.
Oh, yours is nice and thick compared to mine. Mine, I think I put too much oil in mine, so mine didn't come as thick.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Yeah, yours is actually came out better than mine.
Yeah.
Okay, here's mine.
Wow, look at that. And she got pasta.
Let's see. Oh,
I
yours is
know to prepare for sides with this cooking show. Should turn.
so. All right. I'm gonna start my chicken here.
And I used the tenderloin. So
Tenderloin.
the
I
tenderloin.
thought tenderloin was only with beef.
No, the breast has a what they call a tenderloin, and I just pounded it slightly with my little skillet, and it worked real well.
You pounded it with the skillet?
Yeah.
I put it in and just
I thought that's how like people kill people with skillets. So you're practicing?
here's the yeah, I had to take the chicken out. I'm not a big fan of overcooked chicken, so I took it out and I reduced the sauce a little bit.
Yeah, it doesn't, when it's that thin, it doesn't require much cooking.
So yeah, I really like the idea of making the chicken really thin like that because you can cook it really quickly. Because I'm always afraid, because I grew up vegetarian, I'm always afraid of having undercooked meat. So I tend to way overcook stuff. I usually do things in a crock pot or slow cooking because I'm always worried that so I really like the idea of making it really thin.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, like you make it really thin and it browns up like really quickly.
Exactly.
And you're just making it crispy. I didn't take all the onions out of here, but so I think the proper order that is you fry the chicken, you take the chicken out, and then you fry the mushrooms and onions until they're right about caramelized. Then you put the chicken back on it and you do the wine and stuff. So that's like one less step because I didn't have things prepped ahead of time.
Yeah, it sounds okay.
So let's see here. So I'm doing it the right order now.
So I
Nice.
have it for a second batch as well. So is it fine that my pan isn't, perfectly clean? I could just,
Oh, yeah, you don't mind the stuff in the bottom of the pan. That's what you're deglazing.
okay, great.
Now I also have a salad to go with this. So I was going to like go through how to make a good salad dressing, but let me get this chicken out. So like I've got cucumbers, and some red pepper, and some spinach. I'm gonna make a salad. But first I'll make the dressing, which I guess let me finish this chicken so I don't not pay attention to this chicken.
I looked at a recipe, and just so you'll know, it said that the recipe is using shallots, which are basically onions, but garlic also. So I'm sure every recipe is different, but the one I looked at did say garlic.
I think partially people think the default for any type of Italian is you have to put garlic in it. But okay, so I fried the chicken. Well, go back. I got the chicken, I thinly sliced it. I salted it. I shook it in a bag of flour to flour it. Then with really, really hot oil, I fried it real quick, and it's in this bowl right over here. Now I'm frying on really high heat the onions and the mushrooms. And while we're waiting for that to fry, I thought I would make a salad dressing. This is a salad dressing that, I don't know, I like to put all the flavors in one. So I usually start with a sweet vinegar. So I could do red wine vinegar. Oh, can't see it, can you? There you go. Apple cider, red wine vinegar. Or let's see. I recently got this. Actually, I don't see it right now. I recently got some blackberry vinegar from a local farmer that I've really liked it. But anyway, a sweet vinegar, quite a bit of that. And usually how I do it is instead of mixing it in a container, I chop all the vegetables, put it in here, and then just pour it over the top. So then it filters down through. But I thought I would show you how to make this ahead of time. So vinegar. Then your choice is olive oil, or I really like toasted sesame oil to give it both a little bit of oil and then a little bit of umami. And the main reason for the oil, in my mind, is actually the oil and vinegar together kind of break down, right? It creates this perfect mix. Let me put.
Usually you have like a 3-to-1 ratio of oil and vinegar generally.
And then savory herbs, like an Italian mix. This is herbs de flor, which is thyme, marjoram, rosemary, oregano. And one thing I've been really liking recently is, where did I put it? Mushroom powder, like a umami powder. And so I'm trying to get sweet, savory,
Umami.
bitter, umami, like all the flavors all in one. Now, I don't tend to put salt because I try to do a lower salt, but of course, you probably should add a little salt to it to get your salt flavor. But that's my go-to. And now what I do is I put all my greens, and my greens actually, these are some beautiful spinach from the local farmer. And my greens actually, in there, the vinegar will actually kind of cook the greens. So I actually make this, and then over a couple days, I will slowly eat this salad. And the longer the greens set in that sauce, the more it's like cooked. But by only putting a little layer on the bottom, I'll have the cooked greens on the bottom and then the crunchy ones on the top. And so this is I eat this salad, and I'll add things to the salad. Like I really like toasted almonds. So some toasted almonds on there. I got these beautiful cucumbers at the farmer's market. So get yourself some crunch. And then I try to pick things of color. Like just by having color, like a sweet pepper on carrot, that gives it color. Now the main thing is this one I made vegan by putting the unami in there as the mushroom powder, right? If you don't have access to mushroom powder, you can do something phenomenal, which is Parmesan, freshly grated Parmesan. So you either put unami in there as the mushroom powder, or you put the unami as the Parmesan. And then I put the lid on it. And coat it all. And that's my salad. I think it looks a little dry, so I'm going to add just a little bit more olive oil. But so like basically every meal I pull this container out of, and I might chop up something else to add to it as I take stuff out. But I won't let this, I will eat this whole container in, like 3 days. You don't want it to go for very long. All right. Any questions about that? That was just a quick make a salad to go with it.
Good job.
Now my mushrooms and my onions, look at that, nice and brown, borderline burnt. That's where you, I think this one's, the second batch is even going to be better than the first one. Now get your chicken, get it down in. All right, now let's see if we can do this properly. To flambe the sherry, if I can do this right or not. You guys ready? Nope. Oh, there we go.
There you go.
Oh,
You want to burn off the sherry. The last one, I didn't do it quick enough. Now, one thing you could also, all right. And now I'll put my cup of marsala on it. Now, of course, I am, my flour is not as good because it's gluten-free. So it doesn't have as much of that thick gluten to thicken things. And so that's where I have to add a lot more flour than you guys would. I think that's why Christie's was a lot thicker than mine was, because I'm just using a rice flour. So,
So, or another approach is you can take your chicken out and reduce everything. So you can add, this is
True.
when you can, add either the cream, like you said, or the chicken stock, and then you would cook it down and it would concentrate the flavor and also thicken it on its own, because there's the flour that's dropped off the chicken that you pan fried in there.
but part of this is the idea is you're cooking up, a fresh batch.
You want to whisk it a little bit so it doesn't clump.
Where'd my spoon go? Oh, well, I'll use this guy. Yeah, so that's all right. So, but yeah, I was planning to make some rice ahead of time, but I only got home about 10 minutes before we started, and then I forgot. So, but this, I definitely served this over rice. And then I do have some green onions and parsley to put on top of it. Oh, I forgot to put butter. And I forgot my savory herb. All right.
I want to welcome Sylvia, and he was here a moment ago, Dave Anson from the movie program, movie show.
Right,
All right.
yeah. And thank you. Yes, I made the chicken and it tastes good. I'm eating it already. So the only thing I substituted, I didn't have marsala wine, but you know what? Any red wine works well.
Not for marsala chicken.
You can't tell Sylvia.
But
Yeah, it turns into coq au vin.
I mean, that's the interesting thing about Italian food is they can have the exact same recipe with just one ingredient different and it has a completely different name. American food, we have mac and cheese and you can have 100 different recipes for the exact same thing, but it's still mac and cheese. But Italian is just like you do something different, right? And it's a different recipe.
Yeah, well, Italian cuisine is right up there with the top cuisines of the world.
The
Yeah.
mother cuisine of Western cuisine.
So,
You
So
notice
my-
there's
Ash,
no-
I put garlic and shallots.
there you go.
So I had my shallots. I'm gonna put my shallots. I'm gonna save my shallots for my salad. I think I only have a little bit, so I don't want to waste it. But I guess I could put it just a little bit on top of. So
Those are your green onions.
Okay, that's-
Yeah.
So, well, we have to be eating. So see, my husband's eating it. So he says it's good. It passes the mustard.
Bon
There
appetit.
you go. That's the test.
Yeah.
it's like
An unbiased observer.
With a hungry stomach. Yeah. So come and join us, Fred.
well, Fred's in California. You're in Canada, so
I know, that's why
But
we
if-
want him to come.
so. All right. Any other pointers or things we think we should cover? I think we did a pretty good job.
Yeah, I would only add that I did see a recipe that did say shallots and garlic. So if you like garlic, you'd have that. Shallots a little more delicate than an onion if you had those. And you could have, I was telling Laura earlier, the reason I probably never made this is because it usually calls for heavy cream. So right away, that kind of, I sort of take that off my list, but with a little bit of butter, I could see doing it without the cream. So.
Yeah, I wonder. I mean, mine's. I think I put too much oil. It didn't seem like it needed the butter. So.
Well, the butter's there, gives it that flavor.
So,
Another switch that I saw you could do instead of rosemary, which is a very distinctive flavor, you could use thyme.
Yeah, I
Yep.
think so.
yeah, you want like a strong savory herb.
Yeah, so I guess the bait, I mean, what makes it the marsala is the marsala, and then the other kind of ingredients you could probably, you know, do what you like.
Yeah, to taste.
All right.
But yeah, I might go out and get myself some marsala and some sherry.
Yeah. Well,
Really?
thank you, Ari. And especially considering the circumstances, you're amazingly flexible that you were able to fill in at the last minute.
How much
Yeah.
shallot do you think I should do? Like,
Well,
let's see.
I think both shallots and parsley are, in my mind, both, you know, you like put them over the top afterwards. You know,
Oh, really? Okay.
No,
Well,
so I don't-
a shallot is more like an onion. I mean,
Right.
like a white onion, not the green parts. Those are green onions.
right.
A shallot is sort of halfway between garlic and an onion. more
and
or
you want
less.
to cook it.
So,
So I meant the green onion and parsley you would put on the top
Yeah,
of
those
it.
are more, exactly. You
Those are
finish with
shallots.
those.
Yeah. So shallots, you would cook them up just like you would onions. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would
exactly.
do both, Christy, because they're going to cook down to nothing.
okay.
Yeah,
Me personally, I would do both.
Okay,
Yeah.
thanks.
So,
yeah, it just depends on your own preference.
all
I mean,
right.
Oris always talks about this, you know, recipes are just kind of general ideas. Obviously, something that's called marsala, it's kind of hard to not have marsala in there, but there's a lot of flexibility and things you want to put in there or not put in there.
So yeah, for me, it does have that like that umami mushroom flavor, but because of the sherry and the marsala, it gives it this pop afterwards that's just like a bright and savory joy, I guess. I don't know. How would someone else describe?
It's definitely a more refined flavor. It's not your everyday flavors that I'm accustomed to because I don't normally cook with a whole bunch.
That's why I was talking about it being a gourmet dish, I think.
Yeah, it definitely tastes gourmet. And I think pasta works really well because the pasta's been soaking it up. And I had
I
cooked the
agree.
pasta ahead of time. It was cold, so I threw it in the sauce. And I did throw some heavy cream in just because I had it in the fridge.
So I
Yeah.
think my mistake for not having pasta or rice to soak it up is I put too much oil and or I didn't cook it down enough, so it was still very liquidy. You know, and of course I didn't use all-purpose flour, which has that nice gluten to thicken it. Because
Yeah,
I was doing
and the oil
gluten-free.
doesn't really cook off.
Right.
You know, you're reducing liquid that boils, but the oil's not going to disappear. If you got too much oil, it's just going to stay oil.
But I think another thing is the thinner you can cut those mushrooms, the more crispy they'll get. Because if they're thick, they end up extruding a lot of moisture and then you have to cook that off. Because
That's true. 'Cause
mushrooms are what? Like
they're like
50% mushroom?
90% water. Yeah.
It's tons of water. So if you can make them super thin, you get them crispy and the moisture stays in, versus thick, the moisture comes out and then you have to reduce it. So I
agree.
bought pre-sliced mushrooms thinking I would save time, but then it took longer to cook down.
Mhm.
So definitely. So anybody else have any pointers? Otherwise, I'll stop the recording and we'll say, we made chicken marsala.
Good job.
I actually use canned mushrooms, but we have an air fryer, so maybe if I air fried the canned mushrooms, like it would have been crispy and nice.
Yeah, I don't think it's possible to crisp up a pre-cooked mushroom. That'd be really hard. Yeah.
And nothing in mine was crunchy, nothing.
So my mushrooms are definitely crunchy. And then my chicken, the first batch had a crunch to it, but my second one, I cooked it more down and now it doesn't. So I think the idea is, like you said, if you reduce the mushrooms, what do you call it? I guess the less you reduce it, the more crunchy it would be. So the idea is to try to cook it as fast as possible.
Yeah, so the thin chicken, the faster and hotter it is, the more likely it's gonna brown up without, on the outside.
So, all right.
Good job, Or.
Okay.